So when we're expanding something like this, where we have a binomial that's being squared, this does not simply become x squared minus 5 squared. When you first learned about this in algebra, you were probably told to rewrite the two factors next to each other, x minus 5 times x minus 5, and then we have to distribute. So x times x is x squared, x times negative 5 is negative 5x, negative 5 times x is also negative 5x, and then negative 5 times negative 5 becomes positive 25. So we can combine our terms here. We get x squared minus 10x plus 25. So you may notice a pattern here. You may have learned it before in Algebra 1. If I have something like this where I have this binomial and the entire quantity is being squared, it will be x squared and then just double this second term. Negative 5 doubled is negative 10, and then there's an x to the first that goes with it, and then we square the second term. Negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. So if you ever have a trinomial like this, where the middle term, or the x to the first coefficient, if I cut that in half, if I do negative 10 divided by 2, that gives me negative 5. And if I square negative 5, that gives me 25. So there's a pattern here of what happens when I'm taking a binomial and squaring that entire binomial. So we can apply that when I'm trying to factor something like that. So here I have a trinomial x squared plus 12x plus 36. If you think back to factoring from Algebra 1, we're looking for this trinomial to be factored into two binomials that are being multiplied, and these values here need to add up to 12 and multiply to 36. Well, this is one of those special cases where we have a perfect square trinomial, which means that these values will be exactly the same. So it's going to be x plus 6 times x plus 6, because 6 plus 6 gives me 12, this middle term in the trinomial, and 6 times 6 gives me 36. So you probably went through these a lot in Algebra 1 and possibly started noticing, oh, well, if I have this particular example where the middle term's coefficient, when I divide that by 2 and square it, I get the third term, then that means it's just going to be x plus 6, that middle coefficient divided by 2 squared, which is equal to x plus 6 times x plus 6.